Today we're sitting with Brian Cox, who specializes in faith-based diplomacy. Brian, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Stefan.
So tell me a little more about yourself and what you specialize in.
I'm an ordained Episcopal priest and have been for over 30 years. I work with a center in Washington, D.C. called the International Center for Religion and Diplomacy, which is committed to faith-based diplomacy. But I also serve as a senior pastor for an Episcopal congregation, and I'm on the adjunct faculty at the Strauss Institute of Pepperdine Law School, and I teach a course there called Faith-Based Diplomacy and International Peacemaking.
What is faith-based diplomacy? Because a lot of people probably don't know what that is.
It's a new emerging discipline in the field of international politics and diplomacy that seeks to bring together religion and politics in the cause of peacemaking and reconciliation.
So there's track 1 and track 2 diplomacy. Tell me, what do those two encompass?
Track 1 diplomacy refers to official government representatives that might serve in the State Department, a foreign ministry, embassy. And track 2 are a much wider host of individuals and agencies such as religious leaders, business people, citizen diplomats, who in one way or another contribute to the relations between states and to involvement in international situations. And that would be track 2 diplomacy. Each has a different function, and I think they work best when they work together. Track 1 diplomacy obviously carries with it the weight of official governments, but it also carries with it the strategic interests that those governments have. Track 2 diplomacy has the freedom of, shall we say, more creative solutions in situations because it has no particular strategic interest to advance. And the two can work together in a very positive and constructive way. In the U.S. and in Europe, I think many in the diplomatic field are still struggling to understand what this is about and how it can be employed. Certainly there are people of faith who are in the diplomatic realm, but very often that faith doesn't play much of a role in how they approach conflict or how they go about trying to intervene in it. So I think that at the present time, there's still a wrestling with what does it look like to bring faith into the equation and not cross over a line in terms of seeming to promote faith.
I'm Rabbi Mark Diamond, and I'm Executive Vice President of the Board of Rabbis of Southern California. We are a membership organization of 286 rabbis from San Diego in the south to San Luis Obispo in the north. And we spend a lot of time doing interfaith work, reaching out to Christian, Muslim communities, other groups. I have very strong relationships with the Archdiocese, with the Armenian Diocese, with most of the Protestant denominations. Pick a denomination, we probably have at least somebody we're in dialogue with.
My name is Shakeel, Syed. I am the Executive Director of Islamic Shura Council. Shura is an Arabic word which simply means consultation. So it's the Islamic Consultative Council of the Muslim leadership in Southern California.
As the Ecumenical and Interreligious Director or Officer for the Archdiocese, my responsibility is to direct our Catholic Church's relations with all other faiths in Los Angeles, both ecumenically, meaning with our fellow Christians, and interreligiously with our non-Christian brothers and sisters. In Los Angeles, we have everything from Armenian Orthodox to Zoroastrians. So it's a plethora of opportunities for us to interact with men and women of other faiths.
Using faith, I think of my friend Brian Cox and the wonderful work he's done using faith and Abrahamic reconciliation to try to affect positive resolutions to longstanding conflicts.
Religion is often blamed for conflict. We look at a lot of situations throughout the world and people will say religion is the root of all evil. But in many ways, religion, as you were saying earlier, can help solve a lot of the world's problems. Could you elaborate on that a little more?
There's no question that that religion is a cause or a contributing factor in conflict. And I would be the first to admit that. I think the people that would say that religion is the root of all evil are taking an overly simplistic view of the reality as I've experienced it. Religion contributes to conflict sometimes in and of itself in terms of people seeking to advance the cause of their own tradition. Sometimes it's simply a part of communal identity, and so it forms a flashpoint that way. But in my experience, religion has tremendous potential in terms of being an asset for peacemaking in so many ways. And I think that it's important in today's world, given the realities and the way that religion has emerged in the international scene as it has, that we need to take a more nuanced view of religion's role, both as a source of conflict, but also as a tremendous asset for peacemaking today. Very often in conflicts, religion will form, shall we say, an anchor point in identity. It's not that the conflict is about religion, but rather that religion forms a key component of identity, of defining us and them.
And can religion also bridge the gap between us and them?
That's the whole premise of faith-based diplomacy, is that just as religion can form a key aspect of defining us versus them, in the process of faith-based reconciliation, we help people to find a common moral vision in terms of deeply held values that are shared.
Many conflicts that are attributed to religion are actually conflicts about something else. Northern Ireland, for example, where it's often Protestants versus Catholics. It's really more of an economic struggle there than it is a religious struggle. But an economic problem that's divided along religious lines.
Regrettably, in the modern times, religion is used as a tool instead of resolving and solving problems, as to exacerbate the existing conflicts or even to create new conflicts. And it primarily stems out of this notion that my way, my faith, my way of looking things is the only way and the other is wrong.
We have too often allowed the best of our faith traditions to be hijacked by those who are extremists and who pervert the best values of our faith traditions. And we have that in all the faith communities, I must say. It's a terrible problem, and one that I think we need to focus on. It's too easy in this world today that we point out the bad in other people's religions. I tell my rabbis and other people I work with, I would rather spend time looking at our own, finding out, as rabbis in the Jewish community, where are the voices of moderation and reason and tolerance, and nurturing and sustaining those.
And there are many, many examples in the world where faith traditions often brought peace and resolutions to conflicts.
Look at the Balkans, for example, when Yugoslavia disintegrated, and you had those three major religions there: Islam, Orthodoxy, and Catholicism. It wasn't until the people there of those respective faiths forced their religious leaders to do something about the violence there that the chief imam from Bosnia, the Catholic cardinal in Croatia, and the Serbian Orthodox Patriarch were literally forced by their people to stand up and say, enough violence, let's stop this, let's do something to bring about peace here.
Is tolerance simply a veiled form of indifference?
All of us have to wrestle with how we relate to whoever we define as, quote, the other, us versus them, how we define the other. And there are basically three choices that we have of how we relate to the other. And these are moral choices that we make. One choice in terms of how we may relate to the other, Stefan, would be in terms of exclusion, where I, by my actions, consciously try to exclude you. Maybe it's in terms of social ostracism.